Hello, my name is Anjani, and today I'm talking about Saturn initiation cycles. So, Saturn and Pluto are two of the planets that have really bad reputations in astrology, in the way that we've been using astrology. For people who know a little bit, just enough to have a sort of an idea about what these cycles are for, I feel like can be dangerous when just enough, but not fully and completely, like what is the purpose of these initiation cycles. So just like when a woman is pregnant and getting ready to give birth, we can tell her, it's going to be very painful. It's going to be excruciating. You're going to have to push and all this pressure and the contractions. And if you don't tell her that there's going to be a baby at the end of that you're doing it for this reason, it can seem very terrible and awful. Like, who would want to go through that? It's just like that with these initiation cycles. So there are for something. They have a purpose and a meaning, which is to help the individual to move into their next thing, to take their next step. And it is a constant unfolding. We're always unfolding, just like the flowers in the garden. There's always a birth and a death and a rebirth. We're constantly in a cycle. So with Saturn, the purpose of Saturn is to get you to get your stuff done. Saturn represents the part of you that is the authority, the part of you that determines your own foundation, sets your own structure, builds your own platform or your own empire. Everybody has different. I'm working with this chart here. This is somebody who was born on Thursday, the 28th of January, 1988. So she's right in the time frame for a Saturn return. And for her, she has Saturn right next to her ascendant. This is the rising sign. So you can see she's got Saturn bunched up with a whole bunch of things right here in the first house. So the placement of your Saturn is going to give us a really big clue to what that part of you that is the authority, that's setting the structure for your life. The placement of it will give us a clue as to what your original intention, if you can think about this like a blueprint for your life, Saturn's placement will kind of give us some clues about how to engage with your own material. What does Saturn want for this person? And to me, it looks like to have this person become the tribal elder. Because Saturn wants the structure and the form, and she's got it here in the first house in the sign of Sagittarius right next to her ascendant, which tells me that this woman is on a quest, on a mission for evolution and expansion. And having Saturn right there on the ascendant, just 1 degree away, 2 degrees away, sorry, tells me that part of her training in this life, part of her purpose and mission is to become Saturn, to really, that the piece that's inside, we all have everything in us. We all have all these archetypes, all these sort of concepts and ideas of the unfolding human. And then for this person, Saturn is one of her main teachers. And, if you have a teacher with you all the time, like when I lived in India, when you study yoga, you live with your teacher. When you study Ayurveda, you live with a teacher. So she's living with Saturn as her main teacher, which says that this is what she is coming to master. So we have, at 7 years old, our first Saturn square. Not exactly 7 because we can't say precisely. For everybody, it'll be a little bit different. But Saturn is a 7-year cycle. So then your first Saturn opposition will be somewhere 14, 15. Your second Saturn square will be somewhere around 21, 22. And then your first Saturn return is going to happen somewhere between 28 and 30. So, okay, so for this lady, the reason I'm doing this video is because number one, I'm making a piece of jewelry for her Saturn return cycle. So I wanted to have a peek, okay, like what crystals can I use to really emphasize what she's going through and what is the energy of her Saturn return cycle. So the other day she called me up and told me that three things happened that were crazy big, and I'm not going to tell what they were. It doesn't matter. They were three major things that had to do directly with her foundation, her finances, her the way she's setting her structure. And on that day, that was on the 17th, Saturn hit at 27 degrees of Sagittarius, which it was right between her ascendant and between Saturn, where Saturn is on her chart. She's got this at 28, the ascendant's at 26, and Saturn was at 27 degrees Sagittarius. So right between those two. And this is actually the closest hit she's going to have until the actual date of the Saturn return. So usually we'll have three. We'll have three hits. The first hit comes to sort of, it's like you get served your papers to go to court. And then you have to gather it's sort of like gathering everything that you've ever done, all of your documents. I call it getting right with the law, getting right with this reality that we live in, the third dimension, because Saturn is wanting us to play the game of this dimension, so a lot of my friends and people who I know are just on the edge of being off the grid, but in the grid, still living within the system, but as far away from normal as possible. So when we have a Saturn cycle, this is where we have to really come correct, like a MC Hammer on that Too Legit to Quit. You got to get legit. Make sure everything is tied up. Dot your I's and have your P's and Q's straight and all those terms that we use when we're talking about coming correct. That's what Saturn wants, is for us to come correct and be fully playing by the rules. So what I did during my Saturn cycle, and I just had another one, so I'm going on to my next one. I'm 38 this year. So the pact that I made with Saturn was that I will follow the rules. And then this is like my addendum, is that I'm making my own rules that fit in just on the edge, just on the edge, not breaking the laws. And that, I'll follow my rules. So you have to sort of come to this idea that we're here. We have bodies. We're in this dimension. We have to play by the rules. And what I said was, I'm going to play by the rules just barely, I'm going to follow it, but I don't believe in it. I don't get my flu shots. I don't go to the doctor, I for emergencies, I will go, but so you have to come up with your own way to work with Saturn. But the thing I really want to mention is, don't get afraid. Don't feel oppressed. You will feel oppressed. That's part of the purpose of the Saturn cycle. You'll feel a bit of anxiety, a bit of restriction, compression. Because if just imagine that you're a coal being turned into a diamond and you have a purpose, So Saturn, the influence of the Saturn cycle is to lock you down, push you down. You have this much space to work in, build what you're going to build. And, it can feel restrictive. And so some of the physical things that people will come in with are tightness in the chest, joint, teeth problems, joint problem. TMJ is a really common one during Saturn cycle. Broken teeth, pain in the bones, everything that has to do with your structure. In Ayurveda, we call this the kapha. The kapha energy is what builds, what gives the structure and the form. Some of the other things can be depression. You know, you can feel very just down and heaviness in the body. Phlegm, all of these things are common symptoms during a Saturn cycle. So whether or not you know that you're in a Saturn cycle, or you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be at these age ranges that I talked about, because Saturn could be just going over, you know, say Saturn could be going over Mars. Saturn could be going over your midheaven. She's got Jupiter on the midheaven right now, which would be emphasizing her career and her contribution to the world. So if you're having these symptoms that I just explained, some of the things you can do. So see, these are some of the remedies. And I'm going to talk about it from both places. Like if you're working with Saturn consciously, the best thing that I found to do was, you know, drawing the symbol of Saturn somewhere you can see it, and put it on your altar, or go out in your yard and make in the sand a Saturn symbol. So what my biggest suggestion is with all these initiation cycles is to make an offering to the God that is repressing you. Make an offering to the energy that you feel restricted by. A lot of people want to say like, oh, I'm in a Saturn cycle, I'm going to focus on Jupiter because Jupiter is expansive and joyful. And so you want to go for the opposite thing because you don't like what's happening. My sort of, you know, the direction I go toward is like, don't do that. You know, if you're in trouble with your dad, don't go to your mom and ask her to get you out of trouble. You go to your father and you sit with your father. You learn his lessons. You learn the teachings he's here to give you. Don't go running off to your uncle, you know, to your happy, fun uncle. Father's got a lesson for you. So make your offerings to the Father. Make your offerings to Saturn. Do some ritual. Do some, you know, obviously get your paperwork done. Go do all those things that you left lingering. Talk to all the people that you, it's something that I really love doing, and it comes up anyway, is that everything from the past that you left lingering will come back. This will be the time that I had this happen. When I got back from India, I was in my Saturn return cycle, and I got hit with the IRS, an audit. Oh my gosh, it was horrendous, because I that year did a bunch of trading in the stock market, and so every single trade I had to document, and I didn't do it, and I was married, and I had all these, it was so complicated, it costed me a lot of money. But that's what happens during the Saturn return. So not to freak you out, you know, but you put your focus on what is in front of you and do your work. Focus on your work. Get your paperwork done. So yeah, I could go on and on. Please ask any questions that you have, make any comments. I know this is like dicey because people who know a little bit about astrology hate Saturn. And people who know a lot about astrology have their whole idea about Saturn, which a lot of them do say to go focus on Jupiter. Go focus on something that's joyful and fun. So add your comments. I know I have a different way of doing things. Maybe not so different, because maybe some of you like it or agree with it. So please like the video. Let me know what you think. I look forward to connecting with you soon.